Hello, my name is Hanna Voronina and I'm from Kiev. Today, career guidance services in Ukraine are provided mainly through the State Employment Service, the Ministry of Youth and Sport, the Ministry of Education and Science, non-governmental organizations, employees associations and private providers. The State Employment Service is a leader in free career information provision and job search assistance in Ukraine. The experts from regional and local services center are constantly trained to meet the fast-changing needs of the modern labor market and launching the latest innovations. Examples of other organizations include Career Hub Ukraine, a unique platform of the Center for Corporate Social Responsibility Development, presents a wide range of career-focused projects for young Ukrainians, inspiring them to build career at home. One more active provider is the Kyiv Youth Center, promoting a new approach to career learning and development. The Junior Academy of Science of Ukraine is a successful support community for gifted youngsters who explore career options in science. More and more national and international companies started focusing on employment of students and young people with special needs. A wide range of social projects are organized by a national charitable foundation in cooperation with local authorities for employment assistance and psychological support for vulnerable groups with special focus on former military officers, participants of the anti-terroristic operation, and internally displaced people. Two national initiatives that clearly demonstrate coordination of actions of all stakeholders are to be mentioned as well. Firstly, the Ukrainian Pact for Youth 2020 is a great example of business, state, educational sector cooperation for solving the problem of youth employment. Thousands of workplaces, hundreds of cooperation programs, career mentoring for almost 3,000 young people are the outstanding results of this initiative. To continue a successful partnership, the Ukrainian Pact for Youth 2025 was signed by the Prime Minister this September. Secondly, the Council for Public Career Guidance restarted its activity to consolidate the joint efforts for creating an effective system of public career guidance in Ukraine through a memorandum for collaboration. To conclude, it was saying that the Ukrainians deserve the chance to build a successful career nationally and internationally. So, the latest innovative practices in career guidance from different parts of the world are on great demand.
Colleagues, we are very excited to share and discuss with you the ETA publication on innovative practices. Career guidance is well positioned for a more holistic development and well being of the individuals within the new mode of labor market and life changes due to the global developments and the pandemic. Let me share with you very briefly where Turkey stands in relation to career guidance. In Turkey, there is a background and history in cooperation and coordination in career guidance. The infrastructure and the background for cooperation and coordination is present in the country, but a new mentality or impetus could promote further developments. Turkey has a good grasp of the importance of ICT tools in providing individuals with access to education, training, labor market, and career information. eSchool, eGuidance, ePortfolio, and EBA, Education IT Network, are collectively used to assist the holistic development of the students. Big data and a better understanding of how it could be used for the development of LMI systems and evidence-based policy making are areas of development in Turkey. In relation to career education or career management skills, in accordance with the Education Vision 2023, the guidance curricula for different grades are being revised with a holistic perspective to support the personal, social, educational, and career development of students. On the labor side, the Turkish Public Employment Services İşkur, with around 5,000 job and employment counselors, provides services to job seekers, employees, and students. İşkur decided to improve the quality and effectiveness of the services by implementing targeted intervention. This is being done in two ways: through the introduction of a profiling-based counseling system and through the organization of job and employment counselors into 5 groups to provide targeted individualized counseling. This system has been designed to monitor the employability of the job seekers in the labor market and improve the quality of the services provided. Another innovative and important practice is related with the employability and integration of migrants. The pre-employment support program of the International Organization for Migration is implemented as a joint venture of the significant and pivotal actors, aims to support the job seekers of the Syrian and the host community for better employability and inclusion. The digital service provision in the country needs to become more interactive systems, and this could increase the accessibility and dissemination of the services to larger segments of the population. As a conclusion, although there is considerable institutional and human capacity for better applicability of the new trends, a better understanding and awareness of the role of career guidance to tackle with the global contemporary challenges is pivotal. Look forward to hearing your thoughts and opinions. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Almira. I live in Nur Sultan in Kazakhstan. In Kazakhstan, career guidance is a system of interrelated activities aimed at helping both students and adults in making choices, informed choices, on the area of study, on vocation, on career choice. Career guidance is also seen in Kazakhstan as one of the active labor market policies that are aimed at helping adult and young people on making choices on reskilling, upskilling, changing career tracks, taking into account skills, knowledge, and also natural inclinations, preferences, and aptitudes. So who is implementing career guidance in Kazakhstan? On the national level, the Ministry of Labor and Social Protection of the population of Kazakhstan and the Ministry of Education and Science are responsible for overseeing, organizing the career guidance policy in Kazakhstan. Also on the national level, we have another important actor, the National Chamber of Entrepreneurs Atamiken, who is uniquely situated in the system on the junction between education providers and the labor market and employers, and is able to act as systems integrator, bringing together both participants of the labor market and facilitate career guidance. And on regional levels, we have local governments, or akimats. And akimats have specifically designated departments of education who are responsible to oversee education management in their respective areas, and they are also responsible to implement career guidance. Public employment centers, or so-called employment centers, are also operating on regional levels. They're represented on regional, on city, and on rural districts, and they're also tasked with implementing career guidance in cooperation with employers, secondary schools, chambers of entrepreneurs, and private providers.
Hello, my name is Angela Andrei and I'm a career guidance expert. We live in a world that is increasing in complexity and unpredictability. We are facing diverse challenges like globalization, advancing technology, demographic change, environmental degradation, or the current health crisis. All these global challenges have transformed the way we learn, work, and live. What is the role of career guidance in this context? A study of the European Lifelong Guidance Policy Network concluded that guidance is most effective when it is lifelong and progressive, when it connects meaningfully to the experience and lives of the participants, when it recognizes the diversity of individuals and provides services relevant for them, when it combines a range of interventions like one-to-one and online interventions, when it encourages the acquisition of career management skills, when it is holistic and well integrated into our support services, when it involves employers and working people, when it is delivered by highly skilled practitioners, when it draws on high quality career information, and when it is quality assured and evaluated.
Me well. My name is Florian Kadlitz. I'm working here at the European Training Foundation. I would kindly like to ask Gökhan to put the first slide, the welcoming slide. And then I'm very proud that we have so many participants today here from so many different countries. It is a very relevant topic, an important topic, even more important now in these times of changing labor markets and related skills demands. So I hand over to our head of policy unit here at ETF, Xavier Mateo de Cortada. Xavier, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Florian, and good morning, everybody. I want to really give my warm welcome to people from so many countries with different positions. All of you very expert in this field of career guidance and professional orientation. I think this is a unique opportunity of putting an example of how we want to work in the years in the ETF with the co-working between the people from different positions, from our partner countries, European Union, international organizations, and co-create together and the knowledge that is needed for continue developing this field of human capital development. I'm a little bit, I just want to let me share with you, I'm a little bit touched by this video that we have shown. We will all remind Helmut, and I think he will be continuing in our hearts and in our mind, inspiring our work in career guidance, in reform of vocational education and training and work-based learning. So thank you for those who have produced this very touching video. We started this event now saying that this is an event that is part of the European Vocational Skills Week 2020, which this year has been done totally online. As you know, the objectives of this week is to raise awareness about the training and skills locally and across Europe, to promote professional skills, share examples of excellence, and engage with a European and international network. So together with the week that was last week, we are connecting a number of events to this week. So because we share those objectives, and we also want to link what we do here today with all the activity that was done last week. There is plenty of material now. If you go to the website, you will see part of this information. Well, I think just I would like to say a couple of words on the renewed importance of career guidance in the European Union and internationally, and in all your partner countries. I think Angela was now calling about the importance of career guidance coming from the changes, the uncertainty in the world that we are living, changes in the labor market, all these transitions to digital, to green, to industry 4.0, etc. I think all this requires a different way of learning and teaching, which is characterized by an innovative way of doing that. And this implies the principles of flexible curricula, permeability between the different sectors of education, so allowing people to move, personalization of the learning processes and learning pathways, and also going through diverse learning environment, combining more formal with non-formal and informal types of learning. All this requires the need for people to, and when I say people, I mean individuals, but also groups and also families to take decisions. And this taking informed decisions requires information about the learning system, about the labor market, but also to facilitate processes on how to give the psychological support to those learning curve that people are experiencing, and coaching people to make those changes and those processes. So all this makes the career guidance in Europe and internationally very relevant today. So your discussion today, I think, are very, very relevant for all these developments. Also internationally, in the European Union, there's been precisely this July, there's been a number of policy papers that have been published, which I think can inspire some of the work in the different countries, and also inspire the work of experts and people who are knowledgeable about career guidance. Of course, we still think that the Council, the European Union Council resolution of 2008, and based on the Council resolution on guidance on 2004, are still relevant. So on career guidance, the importance of guidance, but also into putting that into a lifelong learning strategy and perspective. This year in July, there was this publication of the European Skills Agenda for Sustainable Competitiveness, Social Fairness and Resilience. And there's a clear stress on the importance of guidance in a lifelong learning context. So this is a very strong message for the European Union, both the member states and the Commission, but also for the external relations of the Commission in support of the different partner countries where we are, I think, represented today here. There is also the Council recommendation on vocational education and training, so VET for sustainable competitiveness, social fairness and resilience, which it will be discussed very soon, and which in this recommendation, it is demanded a high quality lifelong learning guidance services, because we want to facilitate the validation of non-formal and informal learning, and we also want to highlight the importance of guidance, including the increase attractiveness of vocational education and training. Finally, there is a third document approved this July, which refers to this youth package, let's say, and there are at least one. It's called the Bridge to Jobs for the New Generation, which is refers to youth employment. And then there are another Council recommendation on Bridge to Jobs, which is reinforcing youth guarantee. Of course, this applies basically to the European Union, but it's also something, there's some elements which are very important for any country who wants to tackle this issue of the employment of youth. And there is a very important message on stressing the guidance to avoid the new youth employment crisis. We've been working as ETF with other international organizations on this to develop some material on career guidance, and this, I think, it's also a new sign of the importance that goes beyond the European Union and beyond the partner countries. International organizations are all committed with this improvement of career guidance. So I think I wish you a very important discussion today here, fruitful. We have to learn a lot from each one from another, and with that in mind, and also again reminding Helmut in this process, I would like to pass the floor to Raimo, who will present us the agenda of today.
So, thank you, Javier. Good morning to all. For those who are participating in this event in WebEx, but also those who are watching this in YouTube. And I would like to say also thanks a million to Helmut, a good friend and distinguished colleagues, and this is a good way to celebrate his work. My name is Raimo Vuorinen, and I work at the Finnish Institute for Educational Research, University of Jyväskylä, Finland, and I'm honored to chair this event. But before we go to agenda, I would like to remind some of the practicalities and technicalities of this event. The best way, if you want to contribute to the discussions, is to use the chat and you can find the bottom on the bottom of the page. And if you are using chat, please address to whom you are asking the question or comments, and the questions should be written in English. And these questions will be answered during the panel and the questions and answers session. And those who are watching YouTube, you can also use the chat to contribute for this event. The discussions will be later on available in the European Training Foundation Open Space platform. And I'm reminding that this webinar is recorded, and I'm asking you to mute your microphone unless you are presenting, and you can keep the cameras on at the moment. And the PowerPoint slides will be available in Russian and Turkish. And if you have any technical questions, you can use the chat, but use the capital letters. And then the agenda. So today, if I can get the next slide. Today we will hear during this 2.5 hours the overview and the key messages of the ETF publication, International Trends and Innovations on Career Guidance. And then we hear the experts who have been contributing this event. They will highlight some of the key messages, and then we have a panel which is focusing on the specific topics. And then we have, after that, a short break, and then breakout groups where we can discuss on details this event. And to conclude this session, we have a panel of international experts to ask the question, some questions for the future perspectives from international organizations and donors, and then we will close the event. And at this time, I'm handing over to Florian Cutlets, who is the specialist in ETF and will highlight the key findings and highlights of the report. And congratulations of this excellent report.
Thank you very much, Raimo. Thank you very much, Raimo. Welcome also from my side, everybody, again. Thank you for joining us. I will provide you now with a brief overview of the key messages of the report and how we approached it. So if we can get the next slide, thank you. So why did we write this report? First, career guidance is a key response to changing labor markets and related skills demands. But also career guidance needs to innovate itself and evolve in order to remain relevant and functional. Second, we believe that there is a need for more support to enable people to manage their more frequent and also complex transitions within and between education and work. So we wanted to write a report to create awareness about opportunities for further development of career guidance, but we also wanted to stimulate reflection and offer inspiration to policymakers as well as to practitioners. How did we approach this? Next slide, please. We developed the publication in 2 volumes. In volume 1, we looked at the global challenges that impact on career guidance. We looked at the challenges that impact on education and training systems, on employment and social policies, but in particular, we looked at the impact on the role of career guidance and what kind of changes this requires. Last but not least, we looked at megatrends in career guidance that we will describe a bit later. In volume 2, if you could maybe go back the slide once again, thank you. In volume 2, we present innovative examples of policies and practices in career guidance that shall inspire policymakers and practitioners. So let me come now to the key messages that can be derived from the report. And they are very much in line with wider findings and other reports. So first, career guidance systems need to be context specific. They cannot just follow an international blueprint. That means whatever recommendations are made, they need to be adapted to contexts. Another insight from the report is that cooperation and coordination at policy as well as at practice level are key to policy effectiveness and efficiency. So cooperation and coordination helps to overcome fragmentation with regards to reaching out to diverse population groups. Cooperation and coordination helps enhance policy and service effectiveness. Cooperation and cooperation helps ensure efficient research use. And it also helps integrating career guidance into wider policy objectives like economic, employment, social, youth, education and training policy goals. Next slide, please. Another important point from the publication is that a shift from a support for individuals to make career and education choices at certain transition points in their life, towards enabling individuals to manage their career and education themselves in a lifelong perspective. This shift actually supports to increase lifelong career adaptability and employability. And what we've seen is that the most prominent approach to this is twofold. One is the integration of career management skills into educational curricula for formal education in schools as well as for adult education, which then systematically supports this shift. But as well, the provision of lifelong information and guidance from early school on throughout life. Another point is that a multi-channel approach to the delivery of career guidance services is essential, first, to meet the needs of diverse clients, and second, to increase the access to and also the quality of guidance services. So this could include personalized group, online provision, up to self-directed service offices, and as well also the involvement of parents and wider community, of course. An aspect that I want to highlight here is that there is a need to leverage the opportunities offered by ICT. ICT can support traditional services in career guidance, but actually the full potential of ICT to bring together the different elements of career guidance, of the career guidance system as an integrative factor, that actually needs to be better understood in country contexts. So the systematization of the use of ICT is a topic that shall be addressed. Another point, if we can look at the next slide, please, is the availability of quality labor market information. First, for the use of individuals in their career development, but also by professionals in their guidance provision. Another point, it's related. Stakeholders need to be aware of the existing capacity of the career guidance system in their country in order to continuously develop it. So that means a good monitoring system needs to be in place, and evidence-based information about career guidance impact, but also service effectiveness should be provided. There is an important role of research in that, but also an important role of research in innovation in career guidance and in ensuring the relevance and effectiveness of guidance. Another point, if we could look at the next slide, please, is professionalism and quality assurance. Education and training of practitioners is very important. So practitioners need to possess adequate professional competences in their role in the 21st century context. So they need to be ready to design career management skills development activities. They need to be ready to cooperate and collaborate with a variety of groups, from parents to private sector actors. They need to be ready to use ICT, etc. Labor market information, career information systems. This is, of course, related also to practitioner occupational standards, to standards and procedures for the common use of ICT or the use of labor market information, quality standards for service providers, and monitoring indicators. A last point I want to make, innovation and effective governance in career guidance services require not only policy coherence and effective partnership among stakeholders, but also adequate resources. And I think that's a point that shall not be underestimated, especially if we talk about the use of ICT, because infrastructure has its costs. So to conclude here, you see the quote here on the right-hand side. The use of ICT, the career management skills development, cooperation and coordination, as well as the involvement of parents or caretakers, is a very valuable choice. So those are the 4 identified trends in the report. It's a very valuable policy and service option if career guidance systems should be further developed, because they address the key challenges: effectiveness, efficiency, outreach, and adaptation of career guidance to 21st century needs. But important is that they are always adapted to the country context. So that's the main messages from my side. I hand back to Raimo. Thank you.
Thank you, Florian. And then we are going in more details to the topic, and I'm inviting Angela Andrei, who is the international expert for ETF and one of the co-authors of this report, and she will highlight the megatrends which emerge from the data. But before she starts, I'm inviting you to use the chat, so you can find more information and opportunity to ask questions and comments. So please join the event. So I hand over to Angela.
Thank you very much, Raimo. I'm very pleased to present today the main megatrends in career guidance in the light of the global challenges as resulting from the ETF report. We live in a world that is increasing in complexity and unpredictability, and education and training systems, social and labor market systems are facing global challenges such as globalization, advancing technologies, demographic changes, environmental degradation, and the current health crisis. All these challenges have a profound impact on the lives of individuals and on the society as a whole. Individuals need new skills for the future, to become real lifelong learners, to cope with change, to manage transitions. New ways of strategic thinking are needed in the education and training, in the labor market systems, in the social systems, and also in the field of the career guidance. Education and training systems and labor market and social systems need reforms, and career guidance should be integrated into these wider reforms. The examples included in the ETF report show that career guidance is a key response to these contemporary global challenges, but it needs to innovate and evolve in order to remain relevant and functional. Changes are needed in delivery, rethinking institutional contexts, or developing professional competencies of career guidance counselors. And now I will present the main megatrends in career guidance. Please, we should go to the next slide. We approached in the ETF report the following megatrends: the use of information and communication technologies, the development of career management skills in career guidance, the cooperation and coordination mechanisms, the role of parents in young people's career choices, and also other key issues and approaches derived from the research. And I will go now in the next slide on the use of information and communication technology in career guidance. ICT has multiple roles in career guidance. It can be seen as a tool to assist, enhance, and further develop the traditional face-to-face approaches. It can be seen as an alternative to these traditional face-to-face approaches. It can be seen as an agent of change, introducing innovation in the field. It can be seen as an administrative tool, for example, to collect data, to keep evidence of data in the field. So for accountability and quality assurance. And also it can be seen as an integrative agent by providing a common conceptual framework for the design and delivery of career guidance services, tools, and resources. The main megatrends identified in relation to ICT are the following: offering practitioners access, support, and training regarding the use of ICT in their activity, promoting the use of digital and online career information systems, labor market information systems, web-based interactive systems, use of big data, use of chatbots, apps, career simulators with enhanced artificial intelligence, use of social media with the aim to increase access and the quality of career guidance services. Also, another trend is related to implementing an integrated multi-channel approach, for example, using in the same time face-to-face remote provision, or using different kind of digital technologies in career guidance. The next mega trend in the next slide is related to the development of career management skills. The focus here is on integrating career management skills in the policies from the education field, labor market, and social policies. It is important to develop at national level frameworks for career management skills, and this should be grounded in the national context. It is essential for countries to include career management skills in the school curricula at different educational levels. And it is very important to provide methodological support for career guidance counselors and teachers. Another important idea and direction here is to design and implement career management skills programs for young people and adults in PES, in public employment services, and also to support lifelong transitions and enable individuals to manage their own careers and education. The next mega trend is related to coordination and cooperation mechanisms. Please, we should go to the next slide. And here, the main directions and ideas are related to creating mechanisms of cooperation between different organizations involved in career guidance. For example, government representatives, trade unions, employers, community organizations, NGOs, in the form of developing national cross-sectoral strategies, regional cooperation across sectors and administrations, cross-sectoral and multi-professional networks, coordination and cooperation between different government departments and agencies responsible for career guidance, develop cooperation between educational institutions and public employment services, between career services and the business community. The second essential idea here is related to developing and resourcing a national body to support coordination in career guidance. For example, the national guidance forums developed in many countries across the world. The next mega trend is related to the involvement of parents in the career guidance choices of their children. And here, the directions are related to raising parents' awareness on the education system, on career pathways, on occupations and labor market trends, in such a way that they will become more confident when supporting their children. Also here, it is essential to offer career guidance for parents separately or together with their children, to undertake holistic interventions in schools involving the community and the families, intensifying efforts to improve the communication between teachers, guidance counselors, and parents, for example, in schools, developing efficient cooperation between teachers, parents, and our school staff, from, for example, school counselors from psychological and pedagogical centers, or engaging parents in their children's learning and participation in daily school life to the benefit of their children. Another mega trend is related, please, we should go to the next slide, thank you, is related to our key issues and approaches identified when researching for the ETF report. And here we discussed about career guidance for social justice approach, also career guidance in communities approach, the co-careering approach using social media in career guidance, the co-constructing the careers of career guidance counselors approach, and about the employment radar in Finland. And you can find relevant information and analysis in the ETF report on these key issues. And we should go now to the next slide. In the next session of the conference, we have the opportunity to discuss examples of policies and practices for each megatrend discussed in this presentation. And thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Angela. And we are moving ahead within the program, and it's my pleasure to introduce the other co-authors of this report. So Almira Tsagiyeva from Kazakhstan, a national expert on this study, and then Hanna Voronina. She comes from Ukraine. She's the national expert of the ETF study for Ukraine, and she has been focusing on career management skills. And then Professor Fusun Akok, national expert of the ETF study from Turkey, and she has been focusing on the cooperation and coordination, and then Angela as well. And I'm asking the panelists to open their cameras, and the other participants, if you can close your cameras, and you can contribute to the discussions by using the chat. But we can start from the role of parents. So Almira, based on the findings, can you elaborate slightly what works, and then some example from Kazakhstan, but also from the other countries?
Hello, everyone. Hello, colleagues. Thank you for joining. Thank you, Raima, for giving me the word. In terms of parent engagement, Kazakhstan is very family-oriented and have nuclear families. Parent influence is very important in children and making their choices, life choices, and career choices. And there are some examples. Schools always involve parents and engage them into the educational process. But the degree to which schools engage parents in the career guidance vary across different schools and implemented also in different ways. The examples from Kazakhstan are presented in the report are from the Nazarbayev intellectual schools. And apart from regular information sessions and regular involvement sessions with the parents in the educational process, they also have interesting projects that engage parents in more proactive ways in career guidance and also help parents to contribute their social, work, career resources for the benefit not only of their own children, but also to the children of that also study in the same school. For example, in Nazarbayev intellectual schools, they have interesting programs that are called, for example, Take the Child to Work, which is basically organized for students who are studying at the grade 7 or 8. And the child thereby goes to the parent workplace and also is able to job shadow his activities. Similar program is 10 days at Parents Enterprise, whereby there is a more extensive engaging program whereby a student can follow career track of the parents. Basically, these kinds of projects go beyond immediate career guidance objectives. They also aim at developing values, identity, citizenship, patriotism, work ethics, and respect for public interests and needs. Thank you.
So I see that we've lost Raimo. I hope you can hear and see me.
Yes,
Florian
sorry.
again.
Sorry,
Raimo's back.
My microphone was muted. So thank you, Almira. So can you elaborate slightly in more details what would be the first steps in engaging parents in this process?
Definitely, of course, parent engagement works in continuum. Some parents are more engaged, other parents are less engaged. And it is important to make the use and help the parents to channel their resources, cultural, work, career resources, social resources to help their children. And in other cases where the parents are less engaged or they do not have necessary capital to support their children, to mitigate this kind of negative influences and help parents that do not have resources to not limit the career prospects and future life prospects of their children. And there are three main different ways. A is they're also on a continuum of engagement. A is information, which is basically just showing the parents availability of information. B is involving, making parents more involved in the educational process. And C is engagement, where parents can actively share their resources. And this can be done through the school, different committees, parents committees, projects that schools can also initiate with the parents of the students. information sessions, joint sessions, career sessions that can also be done at very low cost by each school using the parent resources.
Thank you. Hanna, and Angela, and Fusun, do you have any questions to Almira? So you're welcome to join.
Almira, thank you very much for this overview of parents' involvement. But could you say some words that we have the City of Professions in Ukraine practice, which was also invited to Kazakhstan for 2 times, and how was the outcome? So did youngsters and their parents really like this opportunity to try all these professions? I know that more than 50 professions were introduced during this event. Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah. Thank you for sharing this amazing experience. Definitely, yes. Parents and students in Kazakhstan are very much, they're always grateful for any kind of extra resource information and information on careers and job markets. And because very different families have different financial resources and families have different opportunities to expose their children to different career options, these kinds of activities, especially international experience sharing, are very much appreciated. I don't think there was an evaluation on the outcomes, but definitely it was very well attended and accepted with great enthusiasm. Thank you, Anna.
Thank you.
Fusun.
In Turkey, parental involvement also has been an important dimension as informal guidance of the process. And not only parents, but caretakers, expecting mothers, and also the ones, who will be mothers or parents in the future could also join those programs. Is there that kind of a tendency or trend in Kazakhstan as well, Almira?
Can you repeat again, please? I lost you for the past 10 seconds, I think.
Okay. Okay. What I was saying, in Turkey, we also have parental involvement programs, but also not only parents, but also caretakers, expecting mothers, and also others who will become, parents may join these programs. Is that the trend also in Kazakhstan?
This is great, Fusin. Thank you. Right now, from what I've found from the research, most activities are aimed at actual parents who are involved, who actually have children who go to schools. The practice of involving potential parents, and definitely that involves caretakers, absolutely, and grandparents, anyone who is involved in child rearing. But as for potential parents, I haven't heard of similar programs. But this is definitely something to emulate, and I hope stakeholders that are present from the Kazakhstani side are also there to take notes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kusun.
Thank you, Almira. I see that some participants are raising hand to ask for questions, but please use the chat to address the questions, so we give the microphone only for the panelists at the moment. So Angela, short comment question before we go to CMS.
Almira, how guidance counselors are involved in these activities for parents in Kazakhstan?
Guidance counselors in schools, in secondary schools, right?
Yes.
So schools have different structures, and in some schools, in public school, there are different actors, staff members who are involved in career guidance. Only some schools have specific one person who coordinates career guidance. In most public schools, this is the function of the deputy director who is responsible for educational part, and they are involved definitely on the organizational and management perspective. And the most common practice of engaging parents is through the meetings with the parents that are done both in groups and also individually, depending on the school culture. This is the most basic, wide practiced practice, basically when they invite them and they share the results of the children, learning outcomes, and discuss future potential. Schools are very much concerned not only with the child finding the correct career path. I have to admit they're mostly concerned with the child graduating the school and getting enrolled in the tertiary education organization, TVET or university. This is one of the main outcomes and the statistic that schools trace and the ministries trace. And so they're mostly concerned about the child finding correct subjects for the graduation test, the unified national test, and also finding further enrollment and continue education track after the school.
Thank you, Almira. Now we are moving to a second megatrend on career management skills. And Hanna, what did you find in Ukraine and in the other countries?
Thank you very much. So I'm pleased to report just maybe very generally because extended information is given in the report. So as for career megatrends in the development career management skills and very great examples which I would like to focus on again. So it is a junior academy of science in Ukraine, where kids can really feel this and learn themselves as a career management skills. Firstly, focus on self-knowledge, self-learning, and understanding your personality and interests and values, so they can participate in competition labs and different projects and train just to be future scientists, and all these things are vocationally focused for youngsters, talented, and they can develop their career, they can understand their strengths. It goes for the second group of career management skills, just feel their talents and but personal qualities to understand what career path choose in future. So as recently, or exactly from the last year, youth centers were introduced throughout the Ukraine with a central youth center in Kiev, and we have affiliates around the country. So these youth centers are responsible for introduction a wide range of activities conducted with youth career guidance national-wide, and of course it is possible to explore the world of work, training and learning, and Kiev Youth Center, which also described in the report, gives a holistic career development service based on the year-long programs, and they provide workshops, talks, career days, and more other activities just for development of career management skills. And of course, it's a network for people. A lot of people, famous and just leaders in careers, are invited for these different activities and give their speeches to motivate young people for further career development. And the second maybe focus is a state employment center, which is an active player in the supporting of career guidance in Ukraine, and they also give a great focus on career management skills, but employed and unemployed adults. So they also introduce a lot of online activities, and nowadays in the pandemic times, it is great to find everything on your computer and feel that you can develop career management skills, staying at home, and be assisted by the specialists from employment centers. Thank you for attention.
Thank you, Anna. I have a question for all you authors, that sometimes career management skills or the development of career management skills is criticized that we put too much pressure or responsibility for the individuals in the time of a low economy. But if we think of the wider definition of career management skills, it's also resilience and coping with these uncertainty. So how do you think, to what extent career management skills are important also in the time of a low economy and also during the time of unemployment?
If I may be the first, I would like to say that exactly at this time, it is very beneficial for economical growth of the country if they can help people understand their strengths. So it is the first thing, and one of the most important, which I think is in the focus of career management skills. So finding your pluses, your strengths, it is what can be focused on for the further economical development of the country. And if we learn how to develop our career management skills, so it will definitely be a long life investment. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Almira, I saw you first, and then Fusun.
Thank you. Definitely, yes. And this is exemplified in Kazakhstan case by the career centers at the universities, for example, Nazarbayev University. And they have two different blocks on employability skills. One block is career development course, which basically helps practical skills such as how to manage labor market formation, how to understand what employers want, as well as practical things like how to improve your resume, how to ace the interview. But also there is a separate component on teaching future-ready skills program, the life skills. So this includes soft skills such as emotional intelligence, work ethics, communication, collaboration. Right now, more and more providers at secondary schools, higher universities, as well as private providers, focus on broad skills combinations that are predictive of adaptability and are vital for all job roles, regardless of the sector. And this is especially important right now in post-COVID labor market, in the market that is disrupted by technology. This is definitely acknowledged and actions are taken by the providers. Thank you.
I also see the development of career management skills I also perceive it from a holistic perspective. And I think, especially in those times of unemployment, uncertainty, and the pandemic, I think career management skills should also have a holistic perspective contributing to the total well-being of the individual. I wonder whether you agree with me or not. That is the first perspective. And the second one, in Turkey, with the Education 2023 vision, there is a guidance curricula being revised and developed with a holistic and developmental perspective from preschool to the university. The other day, Raimo pointed out that curriculum is a tool for career development, a very important tool. So I think, in that sense, for the development of career management, to emphasize curriculum and in Turkish case, the guidance curricula in the development of career management skills or as part of the career education. Thank you.
And Angela, do you want to?
Yes, career management skills are essential in the times of uncertainty. For example, in the ETF report, we have examples of school-based comprehensive programs on the development of career management skills, which showed impact on the students, on parents, teachers, and school counselors, and also on the community. We have also examples of national career management skills frameworks, national school curricula, competence folders for developing career management skills of individuals. And it focuses on career management skills, have the focus on self-exploration and also on career exploration in the fourth time on developing career planning and management skills for students and also for young people and adults.
Thank you, Angela. And there was a question on the chat about to what extent there's a need for competence framework for teachers who are practicing career guidance. So actually you answered the question, and there are different ways how countries are doing. So some have centers, but there seems to be a trend that it's integrated to curriculum, as you said. Okay, yeah, Angela.
And it should be operationalized in the context, the career management skills.
Exactly.
And adapted in each country.
Can we then move to use of technology? No, let's go to the cooperation first. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Pusun, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Raimo, and greetings to all. In Turkey, actually, there's a background and history in cooperation and coordination in career guidance, a long history. But here I could mention first the İşkur campus or contact points in the universities to support the career development and job search and placement of the university students as a joint venture with employers and also the career development centers of the universities. So this is really a very innovative practice, İşkur campus or contact points in 73 provinces of Turkey since 2013. and around 105 universities have those centers. The second example that I would like to give that works is related to the integration of the migrants to the labor market. The Turkish government has been working with International Organization for Migrants to facilitate the integration of Syrians under temporary protection regime into the Turkish labor market. In Turkey, we have around 5 million Syrians, and they are really need to be integrated to the labor market. In that sense, the IOM, the International Organization for Migrants, Turkey office, has developed a quadripartite agreement with İşkur, Turkish Public Employment Service, Vocational Qualifications Authority, and the General Directorate of International Labor Force for this purpose. And the pre-employment support program, implemented as a joint venture of all these pivotal actors, aims to support the Syrian and host community job seekers to acquire the basic knowledge and information that could facilitate their employability. It's a 5-day program that the employers and the employees join and get to know each other and get to know the workplaces. And also it supports the adaptation to work and social life. And as a final example that I would like to give for cooperation and coordination is from a private university in Ankara, Bilkent University. They have a program called the Interview Adventure with Talent Hunters. They connect the third and fourth year students with the firms according to their CVs, and these students have 30-minute interview with the human resource person in the firm and a 15 minutes feedback session from the human resource person in the company on how to develop their skills so that they could better employed in that firm and in the labor market, and how they could further explore themselves and opportunities for better decision making and acting. So I would like to share these 3 examples, and we could elaborate with your questions and comments. Thank you.
Thank you. What about Angela, Hanna, and Almira? Any other examples of cooperation or comments on this?
If I could share with example from Ukraine, it's a great example how different sectors, state, education, and business can cooperate as a Council for Career Guidance, and they really push the development of career guidance in Ukraine. And also we have the Ukrainian Task for Youth, which is focused on the problem of youth unemployment, and they provide the vast majority of activities, which gives different opportunities for school and young students to feel future professionals and just experience confidence and everything is possible in future. So these are two messages from Ukraine. Thank you.
Thank you.
May I project? Yes, in Kazakhstan we have many national actors that are engaged in career guidance, Ministry of Labor, Ministry of Education, education providers on all levels, as well as private providers. And one of the examples for delivery of career guidance for adults and also young people is the recent example of cooperation and coordination between the National Chamber of Entrepreneurs, the Ministry of Labor and Social Protection, and local governments, the Akimats. And they have jointly established extension of employment centers, so-called mobile employment centers. Those are little boutique employment centers that are located in different cities at the spaces where there are many people, like bazaars or supermarkets, before COVID, of course, whereby they would proactively reach out to the population and deliver information on job market, state programs, but also career guidance. They have a designated unit of the professional growth professional, who is usually a psychologist, who helps job seekers to pass the assessment test and provide information and career guidance services.
Thank you. And I hand over to Fusun, and then we move to Angela. So you are moving to ICT, but it relates to cooperation. But Fusun, go ahead first.
I could just add one more brief example. Again, it's related with migrant service centers, but this brings in the very active cooperation of the municipalities.
So the municipalities, together with international organizations, specifically with International Organization for Migration, they jointly established those centers together with the municipalities. So municipalities play a very important role in this cooperation and coordination. So I really wanted to mention the municipalities' active role in this sense.
Thank you. And often now when we move to use of ICT and technology, one of the issues has been the integration and cooperation of the services, not only the use of technology. But I hand over to Angela, so you can comment both on the cooperation and the use of technology.
I'd like to shortly describe an example which combines cooperation and coordination and ICT. It is called Education and Employers from the UK, and it involves cooperation between schools and employers by using innovative technology to connect volunteers with state schools and colleges. So volunteers are selected to participate in career guidance activities in schools by using a website in the United Kingdom. And regarding the ICT, the ETF report contains a selection of 23 inspiring examples from around the world. And these examples are structured based on the following categories: on digital and online career information systems, labor market information systems, web-based interactive systems, big data, expert systems, chatbots, apps, career simulators, and social media in career guidance. It is difficult for me to choose some examples, but from these 23 across the world, I think I selected some examples which proved the impact. For example, an online chat developed by e-guidance in Denmark has proved very popular with the young people, and 28,000 school pupils used this in 2012. Another example is from Belgium. It's called Mentor App. Here, technology is used combined with communication channels and IT tools to deliver effective services for clients. Around 1,350 job seekers downloaded and registered with this application. Also, 780 professionals were recruited as mentors for these job seekers. Also, a website called My Future from Australia is used by nearly 1 million of teachers and students in all states and territories of Australia. And also, this website offers professional development for career guidance practitioners and teachers across this country. And you can find more examples in the report, and very interesting and relevant for
Thank
this
you,
topic.
Angela.
Thank you.
Any questions to Angela? I have one question for all of you. How important is it for both the citizens and practitioners to have skills that they can utilize the existing systems?
Could you repeat, Raimo? The sound broke, so I couldn't hear your question.
How important is the skills to use ICT both for citizens and the practitioners?
It is essential, especially in this context, in this pandemic situation. The skills are essential, and service continuous and initial training, it is very important for practitioners.
Yeah.
And in many...
Fusun and Almira.
I'm very briefly for education for all, for career guidance for all, and also for developing the accessibility, especially those times, as Angela has said. It's very important to develop the ICT skills, and also the digital transformation is in the agenda. Artificial intelligence is coming up, and it has been in the agenda. So, I mean, as to be part of all these digital transformations, we need to upskill and reskill, as citizens, as students, as everybody, so that we could be part of this new world.
And Almira.
Definitely, yes. The issues of digital literacy and digital connectivity are acute in Kazakhstan, and we have a national program called Digital Kazakhstan, which is operating since 2018. And they have addressed the issue of digital literacy, and they really don't have ambitious goals of teaching everyone to code, but to teach as many people as possible basic literacy, digital literacy that allows them to use government services that are provided online. And starting 2018, they have conducted extensive training programs through the employment centers on teaching the unemployed and the job seekers in basic digital literacy skills, how to use different services. And according to the latest report, they have trained around more than 1 million persons, like 1.2 million persons in basic digital literacy.
Thank you. And Hanna, do you want to comment on this before there's one question from the audience?
Okay, maybe just focus on the online services which are offered in Ukraine, because State Employment Service has created a free unified online base of job seekers and job training opportunities across the country. So which is very, very important nowadays in these pandemic times. And there is a special career guidance e-platform which was launched, and it gives information about opportunities for people who lost their job in this time. And of course, Career Hub Ukraine, which is an innovative platform for career planning and employment. It provides career information, educational projects and activities, and career programs and competitions, and also a lot of useful career articles, career guidance, and vacancies for young people. So what is very important that some free smartphones application has been developed as well, and it is a bright example of usage of ICTs in everyday life of youngsters as well as adult employed and unemployed sector. Thank you.
Thank you. Fusun, briefly,
very briefly, can I just... Yeah, very, very short comment. If I could just very briefly give an example from Turkey, Turkish Public Employment Service, İşkur, using big data and ICT, has improved the quality and effectiveness of their services by introducing a new system, profiling of the job seekers, and grouping of the job and employment counselors. Based on big data, the job seekers are profiled. They have their risk profiles, and the job and employment counselors divided into different target groups, and they got trained on that so that they can provide more specific intervention to the job seekers based on their risk profiles and support them their employability and career management skills. This is done by using big data and ICT, and I would like to mention it. Thank you.
Thank you. I have one question from the audience, but I'm reminding that we have a short poll, and we are inviting you to Mentimeter in a minute. But there was one question that in the country examples, did you find any experience on the effectiveness of career guidance centers or effectiveness of guidance in vet schools? So you can refer to the report if there are any examples of this. Fusun.
I can just give example from a website called Vet website in Turkey, My Life and My Career. It has been only developed for vet students and supports the vet students' career development and their engagement with the employers and with the labor market. And it has been very effectively used by the students, by the teachers, and also by the employers. And it supports the students to develop the skills that are needed in the labor market. So it's a very effective ICT tool supporting guidance in vet.
Thank you.
May I come in, Raimo, very quickly? just a message to answer that question as well. All the examples described in volume 2, as much as there was information available, also refer to impact and effectiveness and success factors. So if you look at volume 2, all the examples have this information as well.
Thank you. So I think I'm aware of the time. We are slightly 5 minutes delayed from our planned schedule. So we have now a Mentimeter. So we are inviting you to respond to these questions. So they are asking about some assessing your country's readiness on these innovations or uptake further development, and then some challenges and some solutions. And then there's a fourth question which you can include. What are the sort of what kind of support you expect from the in international organizations or cooperation in development of the guidance services. So I thank the panelists. At this point, we continue in this breakout session of these themes, but please, during the next 2 minutes, use the Mentimeter and respond to these questions. Also, those who are in YouTube, you can respond the questions. So we have the instructions that go to menti.com and use the code 5430716. And we take one more additional minute before we go to the results before the coffee break.
It should work to participate in the Mentimeter without using even the code. So just click on the link, it should work.
Thank you, Florian. And for the open questions, you can add a couple of words. Not perhaps the full screen novel with this short time is possible.
Dear Florian, according to your approval, I will show the results.
Okay, let's take the results now.
Yes, please, Gökhan. Sorry. Yes, please. I think we can start showing the results of the first question and then slowly move to the next ones as people for sure have finished answering the first question.
And there are no right or wrong answers on this question. Okay, it seems that readiness to uptake the innovation is quite high. So we have most of them, most of it is putting this the highest or the second highest, or then some of you are in progress, slightly hesitating, but this looks good. Shall we go to the second one? What are the challenges? what are the challenges regarding the uptake of the innovation? Actually the commitment and mentality and resources, those seem to be a global trend. We have done some research on the European Union also on this cooperation, and what are the first issues is the commitment and sort of readiness and sort of the will to look at the commonly agreed outcome of the services. So not starting from the services, but starting from the outcome. So the mentality and the habit of working together is the key issue, both within the government and the organizational sectors. And then we can agree on the resources. So this looks quite sort of commonly. But these countries have been doing work on this, so we can share experiences. We are not starting from scratches. And then let's take before the break. We go to the solutions after the coffee break. So I thank you. At this point, we will have a 10-minute break, and after that we will be working on these more themes for parallel working groups on these four trends, and then we have a concluding panel after that with the experts, and I'm inviting the panel experts to join the working groups as well with the participants. So let's get back to 11:30, have the 10-minute break. So I'm aware that we are 5 minutes delay, but let's have the break as planned. So back to the panel, back to this WebEx 11:30.
I understand very briefly that you can stay logged in. You just leave your place, but you stay logged in. You don't need to log out. Just stay logged in.
Yeah.
Have a good
Florian.
break.
So welcome back. Welcome back, and we will get the result from the third question on the Mentimeter. So we were looking at the challenges, and there was the commitment, and then what might be the solutions to the identified challenges. So if we can get the results, and we can get the word cloud. We have the coordination and across stakeholders and clearly defined roles and financial resources. That's often the case because guidance is a transversal theme across the sector. So the different representative structures, national forums, or coordinating entities, they seem to have seem to be sort of one key sort of solutions that the number of countries have established. But then this requires a sort of a joint goal or agreed frameworks or agreed strategies. And there seems to be a trend also in many countries that career guidance is integrated into either skills strategies or employment strategies, education policies or youth policies. In the case there is not an opportunity for explicit strategy for career guidance as such. And then making the use of local context, so that's important. So although we have cooperation between countries, we have been working 20 years in a structured networks in different settings, and ETF is an example of this type of support. But we have found out that we cannot use a model, that one model that fits all. So it has to be sort of filtered with the local economic, social, and political context. But what we can do is to use this type of opportunities for mutual learnings and looking at the reference points. And within the chat, we already, before the break, had some examples of these products which have been sort of produced based on the international joint projects. But I think we can move on to the parallel 4 themes to discuss this in more details. And within this WebEx, we can go to the breakout room, but also for those who are on YouTube, Florian will introduce instructions how to contribute on this event through YouTube. Florian, I hand over to you.
Thank you very much, Raimo. Yes, when we go into the breakout groups, that will only be possible for those following within WebEx. So those following us from YouTube, we kindly invite to participate in a very short survey that my colleague here will paste into the chat in YouTube. It will not take you much longer than 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how much you put in, but it will inform ETF's future work, give us some information about the situation in the country you're living and working in, and we would be very thankful for if you participated in that little survey. Please note that at 11:55, we will be back in the plenary here with another panel discussion. So that will be, of course, live broadcasted again on YouTube. So rejoin us, please, those following in YouTube at 11:55 when we're back into the plenary. Thank you.
And those who are in WebEx, you will be now moved to these parallel groups that you were registered in advance, and the system will take you automatically. And with the moderators of the group, we get back to this plenary, as Florian said, 11:55. So I wish you productive parallel sessions. So can we start the break?
name is Hanna Voronina and I'm from Kiev. Today, career guidance services in Ukraine are provided mainly through the State Employment Service, the Ministry of Youth and Sport, the Ministry of Education and Science, non-governmental organizations, employers' associations and private providers. The State Employment Service is a leader in free career information provision and job search assistance in Ukraine. The experts from regional and local services center are constantly trained to meet the fast-changing needs of the modern labor market and launching the latest innovations. Examples of other organizations include Career Hub Ukraine, a unique platform of the Center for Corporate Social Responsibility Development, presents a wide range of career-focused projects for young Ukrainians, inspiring them to build career at home. One more active provider is the Kyiv Youth Center, promoting a new approach to career learning and development. The Junior Academy of Science of Ukraine is a successful support community for gifted youngsters who explore career options in science. More and more national and international companies started focusing on employment of students and young people with special needs. A wide range of social projects are organized by a national charitable foundation in cooperation with local authorities for employment assistance and psychological support for vulnerable groups with special focus on former military officers, participants of the anti-terroristic operation and internally displaced people. Two national initiatives that clearly demonstrate coordination of actions of all stakeholders are to be mentioned as well. Firstly, the Ukrainian Pact for Youth 2020 is a great example of business, state, educational sector cooperation for solving the problem of youth employment. Thousands of workplaces, hundreds of cooperation programs, career mentoring for almost 3,000 young people are the outstanding results of this initiative. To continue successful partnership, the Ukrainian Pact for Youth 2025 was signed by the Prime Minister this September. Secondly, the Council for Public Career Guidance restarted its activity to consolidate the joint efforts for creating an effective system of public career guidance in Ukraine through a memorandum for collaboration. To conclude, it was saying that the Ukrainians deserve the chance to build a successful career nationally and internationally. So, the latest innovative practices in career guidance from different parts of the world are on great demand.
Colleagues, we are very excited to share and discuss with you the ETA publication on innovative practices. Career guidance is well positioned for a more holistic development and well-being of the individuals within the new mode of labor market and life changes due to the global developments and the pandemic. Let me share with you very briefly where Turkey stands in relation to career guidance. In Turkey, there is a background and history in cooperation and coordination in career guidance. The infrastructure and the background for cooperation and coordination is present in the country, but a new mentality or impetus could promote further developments. Turkey has a good grasp of the importance of ICT tools in providing individuals with access to education, training, labor market, and career information. eSchool, eGuidance, ePortfolio, and EBA, Education IT Network, are collectively used to assist the holistic development of the students. Big data and a better understanding of how it could be used for the development of LMI systems and evidence-based policy making are areas of development in Turkey. In relation to career education or career management skills, in accordance with the Education Vision 2023, the guidance curricula for different grades are being revised with a holistic perspective to support the personal, social, educational, and career development of students. On the labor side, the Turkish Public Employment Services İşkur, with around 5,000 job and employment counselors, provides services to job seekers, employees, and students. İşkur decided to improve the quality and effectiveness of the services by implementing targeted intervention. This is being done in two ways: through the introduction of a profiling-based counseling system and through the organization of job and employment counselors into 5 groups to provide targeted individualized counseling. This system has been designed to monitor the employability of the job seekers in the labor market and improve the quality of the services provided. Another innovative and important practice is related with the employability and integration of migrants. The pre-employment support program of the International Organization for Migration is implemented as a joint venture of the significant and pivotal actors, aims to support the job seekers of the Syrian and the host community for better employability and inclusion. The digital service provision in the country needs to become more interactive systems, and this could increase the accessibility and dissemination of the services to larger segments of the population. As a conclusion, although there is considerable institutional and human capacity for better applicability of the new trends, a better understanding and awareness of the role of career guidance to tackle with the global contemporary challenges is pivotal. Look forward to hearing your thoughts and opinions. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Almira. I live in Nur Sultan in Kazakhstan. In Kazakhstan, career guidance is a system of interrelated activities aimed at helping both students and adults in making choices, informed choices, on the area of study, on vocation, on career choice. Career guidance is also seen in Kazakhstan as one of the active labor market policies that are aimed at helping adult and young people on making choices on reskilling, upskilling, changing career tracks, taking into account skills, knowledge, and also natural inclinations, preferences, and aptitudes. So who is implementing career guidance in Kazakhstan? On the national level, the Ministry of Labor and Social Protection of the population of Kazakhstan and the Ministry of Education and Science are responsible for overseeing, organizing the career guidance policy in Kazakhstan. Also on the national level, we have another important actor, the national, who is uniquely situated in the system on the junction between education providers and the labor market and employers, and is able to act as systems integrator, bringing together both participants of the labor market and facilitate career guidance. And on regional levels, we have local governments, or akimats, and akimats have specifically designated departments of education who are responsible to oversee education management in their respective areas, and they are also responsible to implement career guidance. Public employment centers, or so-called employment centers, are also operating on regional levels. They're represented on regional, on city, and on rural districts, and they're also tasked with implementing career guidance in cooperation with employers, secondary schools, chambers of entrepreneurs, and private providers.
Hello, my name is Angela Andrei and I'm a career guidance expert. We live in a world that is increasing in complexity and unpredictability. We are facing diverse challenges like globalization, advancing technology, demographic change, environmental degradation, or the current health crisis. All these global challenges have transformed the way we learn, work, and live. What is the role of career guidance in this context? A study of the European Lifelong Guidance Policy Network concluded that guidance is most effective when it is lifelong and progressive, when it connects meaningfully to the experience and lives of the participants, when it recognizes the diversity of individuals and provides services relevant for them, when it combines a range of interventions like one-to-one and online interventions, when it encourages the acquisition of career management skills, when it is holistic and well integrated into our support services, when it involves employers and working people, when it is delivered by highly skilled practitioners, when it draws on high quality career information, and when it is quality assured and evaluated.
Hello, my name is Hanna Voronina and I'm from Kiev. Today, career guidance services in Ukraine are provided mainly through the State Employment Service, the Ministry of Youth and Sport, the Ministry of Education and Science, non-governmental organizations, employers associations and private providers. The State Employment Service is a leader in free career information provision and job search assistance in Ukraine. The experts from regional and local services center are constantly trained to meet the fast-changing needs of the modern labor market and launching the latest innovations. Examples of other organizations include Career Hub Ukraine, a unique platform of the Center for Corporate Social Responsibility Development, presents a wide range of career-focused projects for young Ukrainians, inspiring them to build career at home. One more active provider is the Kyiv Youth Center, promoting a new approach to career learning and development. The Junior Academy of Science of Ukraine is a successful support community for gifted youngsters who explore career options in science. More and more national and international companies started focusing on employment of students and young people with special needs. A wide range of social projects are organized by a national charitable foundation in cooperation with local authorities for employment assistance and psychological support for vulnerable groups with special focus on former military officers, participants of the anti-terroristic operation, and internally displaced people. Two national initiatives that clearly demonstrate coordination of actions of all stakeholders are to be mentioned as well. Firstly, the Ukrainian Pact for Youth 2020 is a great example of business, state, educational sector cooperation for solving the problem of youth employment. Thousands of workplaces, hundreds of cooperation programs, career mentoring for almost 3,000 young people are the outstanding results of this initiative. To continue a successful partnership.
Getting back to the plenary session, thank you for the discussions during the breakout sessions. Me and Florian, we visited some of the group, and there were a lot of active contributions, and we are getting them some key points on the Jamboard, which we can share for the panelists. But we are now moving ahead to the final session. We have an expert panel with invited representatives of international organizations. First, I want to apologize that Susan Krat, due to the other parallel engagement from WAVES, was not able to join the panel, but Professor Ronald Sultana from the University of Malta kindly agreed to join the panel. So thank you. Welcome, Ronald. And the other panelists, they come from ILO, Mr. Pedro Moreno da Fonseca. And then we have Mr. Parmosivea Sobrayan, Bobby Sobrayan, he's a regional education advisor for Europe and Central Asia for UNICEF. And then we have Mr. Hiromichi Katayama from UNESCO. And if we can get the results for the Mentimeter, some of the key points, and then we are co-hosting this panel together with Florian. So I hand over to Florian if you start with the involvement of parents.
Yes, thank you very much. Welcome also to the panelists. Thank you for being with us. There will not be a reporting back from the breakout groups. We will show you an overview of some key messages, as not all panelists were able to participate in the sessions. We will not ask them to directly refer to the sessions, but nevertheless, if points come up that you discussed in the groups, put them in the chat, raise your voice there, and bring in some points from the breakout groups to the panel discussion. A first question that I would like to ask to the four panelists is related to the involvement of parents. So what do you think are promising ways of systematically involving parents in career guidance, both formally and both informally? And maybe we'll start with Bobby, if I may ask you from your point of view.
Thank you for raising that question. In fact, it was a key thread of the discussion in the breakaway session on parents, and it revolved around this bottleneck, essentially, that parents tend to transfer ambitions to children, and I'm quoting here what was said, and parents don't necessarily have accurate information. So we had excellent presentations to look at how practically parents are pulled in both systematically by inviting them to the school and engaging with the counselor. But what tends to happen there is that those parents who are already invested in their children's careers and future tend to come, and others don't come. The objective here is to try and reach those who don't come. And an exciting idea that was flagged in our discussion is the issue of peer influence between parents. So those parents who are forward-leaning and come can influence other parents who don't attend. So running through this discussion essentially is the point that one can create platforms and opportunities for making systematic information available to parents. There are issues, though, on the demand side of parents where some are not as actively involved, others are mediating the advice and understanding of their own experience and how the labor market operated at that time. The important thing is to bring them into a systematic engagement, try and provide information. The one perspective I want to add is that this engagement at the school level needs to extend beyond career guidance teachers and also to other teachers, like the teachers of literature, physics, mathematics, to show the real world and world of work applicability of what they're doing by the projects they give children, inviting parents to schools to demonstrate the utility of that knowledge, and also to give a team of children a community-focused project to do where parents can see the utility of literature or mathematics or history or something like that and recognize career opportunities and how the labor market is changing. Over.
Thank you very much, Bobby. I see Almira directly wants to come in. Yes, please.
Yes, thank you, Bobby, for great overview. I would also like to add that it's also parents' involvement is very important when it comes to the child choosing between academic path and vocational path. And in this case, financial considerations, this is an important topic that career guidance or teachers in the schools also address. And that is an example brought about by Albania and Israel, that financial considerations and basically showing the prospects on tuition payments, on job salaries are highly important in involving parents. And also this is contributed by the debate on the safety and on the gender expectations as well. So a lot of layers are coming also into place with the parents' involvement. Thank you.
Thank you, Almira. To the other three panelists, Ronald, Hiromishi, Pedro, is there anything to add regarding systematic involvement of parents in career guidance, both formally and informally, from your point of view?
Perhaps I could switch the conversation around in another way, which is the importance of careers advisors listening to parents. So it's not just parents listening to the careers advisors, but the other way around, because parents actually have their own understanding of the labor market and they make their choices in a rational way, not perhaps on the same value system that we have, but from their perspective, it makes sense. Like, for example, when I worked as a consultant in Egypt on careers advice, many parents were making decisions as to where their children should go on the basis of proximity. Just they felt that it was much safer for their girls to go to a school which was closer than further away. So I think if we're going to offer career services which are fit for purpose, we also have to be a bit humble and listen to the parents. How are they advising their children? On the basis of what? What kind of information are they using? And sometimes the informal information that runs within communities as to where employment opportunities lie are much better or much, let's say, more realistic than what comes through the formal channels. So I'm just twisting this around. Yes, by all means, let's involve parents in our careers programs within schools, but not just to teach them, but to learn from them.
Thank you very much, Ronald. Pedro, please.
Okay. I feel that this has more to do with the organizations that deal with, let's say, the educational system itself than the ILO, but I would take the opportunity, take directly Ronald's words and enlarge the discussion just a little bit more from the family to the community level. I mean, I think that obviously the discussion around, for example, occupational stereotypes or gender stereotypes in which career people should choose or not to choose a career needs to be constructed in dialogue with the community. And actually, Ronald's excellent edition of texts on the Mediterranean context and the practice of guidance in the Mediterranean context illustrates how this needs to happen across a variety of cultures. And when we're thinking on a more global scale, this type of discourse becomes more important. Speaking very concretely about the parents, I think they can also be involved besides direct activities in the school. They can be involved in systematically involved in activities which allow for transition into labor markets. And I'm thinking about not all choice, for example, of work-based learning internships, many types of work experience, which require the engagement of communities, of employers, frequently also traditional mentors, informal enterprises. So there's a whole universe here that needs to be exploited, to be explored. I also think that the community can provide a number of systematic opportunities for engagement, especially for young people, in the form of role models, of providing also godfathers that allow the transition into the labor market of young people to be successful. I think that community leaders, for example, leaders of small villages, religious leaders, so a great number of people can be involved besides the parents to provide these figures of authority and these opportunities for dialogue that Ronald was mentioning. And I also think that at a large scale, we need to think about a guidance service which is outside. It's not simply a service with open doors. So there is outreach, and guidance is embedded in the outreach initiatives and gets to the people where they are. And we're talking about young people always. And I think we need to talk about the young people who are not necessarily enrolled in the educational system too. So I'll leave it here.
Thanks a lot, Pedro. I don't know if Hiromishi wants to add to this. Otherwise, we move on to another question.
Yes, I have a quick comment, and thank you, Florian. So I'm from UNESCO, and about the parental engagement, yes, I think it is very critical, and I understand that we are talking about the secondary education, post-secondary, and also other types of TVET, but especially at the secondary levels, I think in many countries there is an association of parents to support teaching and learning at schools. So we can make the maximum use of this existing mechanism, like a parental association, in order to ensure their comprehensive engagement. And yes, when we talk about secondary education, I mean, they start immediately after primary. So I think they cover the age group like 12 years old and 13 years old. And employment or entering into labor market is not the immediate future. I think they still have some time to think about their own future career. And I think it is important for the school and also parents association to provide an opportunities for them to understand the world of work. So, I mean, rather than talking about the labor market specific issues, they may need to have a chance to understand what kind of jobs are there in the society and the economy. So, yes, I think this should be one of the role of the parents. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Raimo. I hand over to you.
Thank you. I was reading the chambered discussion from the breakout room, and at the moment we are in a situation that individuals are using the technology with or without the practitioners. But the finding is that ICT is mainly used for information or delivering information in most of the countries and through platforms. And some of the challenges which relate to the use is the access to technology, inadequate information, duplicating existing services, and difficult to integrate the different systems. So my question to you is that how do you see in general the role of ICT in systematic development of the guidance services as such? And I hand over to Ronald first. You're muted, so please open the microphone.
Right. Yes. I obviously understand that ICT creates so many opportunities for reaching out to communities, especially those communities that are distant from the service that is being offered. I'm currently reading and enjoying the challenge that artificial intelligence is going to present us with. And as far as I can understand, artificial intelligence is going to be a game changer in our field. I think we need to invest a little bit more in understanding how this works and whether this works in the favor of citizens. My worry is that artificial intelligence will be ahead of us in packaging together information that is fed back to the client, to the citizen, in ways that predispose him or her to make certain choices. So that is a concern that I currently have. I'm reading about it. The technology is far ahead of many of us, but I think we should really be on top of it in order to ensure that the people we work with are not given a disservice by the technology that is being developed.
What about Obihiromicho Petra? How do you see the role of ICT? Petra.
I think that just directly also commenting on this that Ronald has said, I think that ICT needs to be an opportunity for learning, so for the acquisition of career management skills, and I think that's what deep down Ronald was saying. So you want people who are critical, who are autonomous, who can navigate the world of work and not be provided a strict, rigid roadmap on what to do, when to do, and what kind of ideology to adopt while doing it. So I think this is interesting. I see a lot of potential in things like gaming, for example, for the acquisition of skills. I think that's an opportunity, and I think that the fact that you can establish modular learning experiences also holds great potential, especially as micro-learning opportunities, which can reach you on an app on your mobile phone, and you can sort of have your experiences, which can be tailored in many ways. I also want to say something else, which is one thing that the recent global survey we had, in which UNESCO also participated, and the ETF. And one thing we notice is that clearly digital services are important, but they're not a miracle solution. Because what we noticed and what some testimonials shown is that many people didn't have access to digital means. Many people didn't know how to use them very correctly. And many people, even if they could, they would have benefited from having distance support through other channels, mainly telephone, which is simpler, more direct, and easier for many people. So this is one important thing, is to have multi-channel services, and be careful with putting the digital ahead of everything. Rather think about what should the service be than being digital plus something. Another thing which and of course there's the issue of skills for practitioners and users and all of that. One last thing, not to take the whole time. I think one important potential of digital technologies is connecting services, creating integration between guidance, lifelong learning, activation initiatives in employment services. And I think that tools, for example, like personal portfolios, are extremely powerful tool in creating the coherence between all the processes and all the different services which occur on what currently are separated silos. And I think that digital can enable this next step, or can be very helpful for this next step of lifelong processing. Well, I'll stop here.
Thank you, Peter. And to add briefly that it brings an opportunity to get real-time access or open access to real-time information that is accessible to all. So the bringing together is an important point that came out. Hiromichi and Bobby, any comments on the ICT?
Okay, thank you, Raimo. Yes, I think inclusion is very important in order to nobody will be left behind. And we have to understand the environment of the use of ICT, especially in the low-income countries context or low-income community countries context, even in the wealthy countries. And so, yes, I think we have to think about the selective use of ICT first of all. But, I think what is more important to me is the contents of the career guidance, including the labor market information, should be supported by the evidence or data. And in many low-income countries, it is very difficult to get the latest information by administrative data or survey data. So that's why we have been trying to use the big data from online job search portals, even in some low-income countries. And I led the kind of pilot study in Malawi and Myanmar. Both of them are low-income countries, but focusing on the urban white-collar sectors and try to get what kind of job vacancies are available from their ongoing online job search portals in order to identify the skills demanded by the employers in the urban white-collar sectors. And we have been trying to transfer this information to the secondary schools and TVET institutions for those low-income countries for the use of the career guidance. And I think we can, we will try to use this approach as much as possible. But again, I think we have to be selective, and we have to understand the context of low-income people, low-income countries, and low-income communities. Thank you.
Bobby.
I just want to echo the point Hiromichi raised about inclusion and how people, certain categories of people, would find it difficult to access ICT platforms. But very definitely, ICT platforms are an important contributor. There's no argument against that, so I'm not going to speak about that. I'm going to speak about some of the caution one needs to exercise, like when one starts running algorithms on ICT platforms that pushes advice to users, like Ronald has raised, using algorithms or artificial intelligence. Those are predicated on certain assumptions. And machine learning learns with utilization over time. And that's how the algorithms get calibrated and changed to be specific to a user. And a lot of things can go wrong there. So it's always important to recognize the limitations of the underlying assumptions that's driving ultimately what the user is exposed to. Similarly, psychodiagnostic tools, which can be run on ICT platforms, can be run using algorithms, have a whole lot of challenges in terms of their accuracy in advising a user about what their future career prospects are in a context of very flexible and unpredictable labor markets going forward. So it's very important to keep those in check and recognize that those issues need to be mediated. The other issue as well is that certain contexts have certain overriding factors that extends beyond the demand side of the economy and signaling based on that economy. Some lower income countries, people want to gravitate to higher income countries, and they choose that bridge or that occupation specific choice that will allow them to go there. That choice won't be confirmed looking at labor market analysis in that country, but it doesn't mean that parents who are advising their children and users are acting irrationally. They're acting quite rationally, but they're using information that extends beyond the scope of the ICT platform. So confirming the importance of ICT platforms, but also saying that we need to be constantly vigilant to some of these shortcomings that we need to purposefully, actively mitigate, and recognize that when advice is given, it's not necessarily absolute advice. It can be open to various interpretations, and some of it cannot be very accurate as well. I'll leave it there. Over.
Thank you. Any comments to Bobby? I think to summarize, there's some research evidence, like you said, that the best, in order to get the best use of ICT, it's important that we have the understanding why is it used and what are the benefits and challenges. So not only focusing on the fragmented tools, or otherwise we are just creating a number of tools which don't communicate or are not connected to each other. But I hand it over to Florian. We are moving to career management skills, which was referenced in your comments as well.
Thank you very much, Raimo. So a question related to career management skills.
Florian, we lost you.
Yes, somehow, sorry about that. So as you know that there are many competence frameworks out there from the EU, from UNESCO, from UNICEF, from ILO, some about transversal skills, some are called life skills, some are digital skills, some are about teachers' competence in digital skills. So there are a lot of frameworks out there. And you know, the concept of career management skills is, so to say, cross-cutting, overlapping. There are a lot of skills represented in the many frameworks that are already out there. So my question to you, to the group of panelists, would be, how should the development of the career management skills look like in the future, given that there are already so many frameworks out there? Maybe I start with Pedro.
Pedro, you're on mute.
Okay, sorry, I was muted. So thank you. Of course, the career management skills are understood within the, let's say, the framework of core skills that the ILO adopts. And currently, we're actually in the process of revising this framework. So this set of skills is gaining importance in our perspective. Just one thing, one fundamental thing that we think is that we need to take a lifelong perspective on the development of career management skills. So I'm not going to talk about what eventually my colleagues are going to talk about, the earlier stages, but focus a bit more on the adult component. But I think the line principle. So you start early in an adapted fashion, and then you adjust to context and to people. From the perspective of adults, of course, we have the how do you develop this in adult learning? How do you develop in work context? How do you develop it in work-based learning? And I think the current crisis of COVID-19 has shown very clearly how critical adaptability of individuals, having career management skills, and now it's starting to show how long-term perspective on the development of human resources themselves is important, and how it will be critical both for individuals with the current shifts they'll have to face in terms of labor market, but also to enterprises to have a social responsible and simultaneously competitive approach during the recovery. So I think that the whole thing needs to be seen as in complementarity. I mean, career management skills, I think, weave the whole issue of basic skills, especially the digital skills and the skills needed to deal with more digital heavy work environments, with more automated environments, and the perspective of long-term development of sustainable business. So from my standpoint, I think that they need to be an integral component of the way training is delivered, the way learning activities exist also inside of work environments, and the way human resource management is done within enterprises, which is something which is not very discussed normally, since HR tends not to adopt many of the activities, many of the tools which career guidance has to offer. But when we look closely at what are what is the operation of an enterprise, we see that the methodologies and the tools of career guidance are fundamental, to allow for successful redeployment of people, to undertake talent management in enterprises, to help people transition in their careers and into retirement, to help integrate new people into the enterprise. So there's a lot of things, but to achieve this, you need something which standardizes a bit or allows to standardize to a minimum the way in which you create this integration. You need to have training for people in work environments and mentors, of enterprise managers. So you need a stronger contact with the enterprise environment. Finally, also, it's not only about competition. I mean, this has to also be very strongly linked to a true balance in terms of life and work, and to see the development of the person from career's perspective and how the career develops in terms of the stages of life and the context of life that the person has. So I see that the framework of the future, more unified framework, needs to have these elements, needs to have the lifelong perspective, needs to have, in the case of the adults, a closer real proximity to the world of work, and then the component of the life-work balance well integrated in its constitution. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Pedro. It was a very rich answer. Are there any additions to what Pedro said, or questions from the other panelists?
Yes, thank you, Florian. If you could allow me to say a few words. Yes, yes, I think Pedro's explanation is very comprehensive, and the UNESCO has been trying to work with other development partners in the framework of this interagency working group of Tibet, and we will try to work with ILO and other organizations in order to generate synergy and avoid the duplications. And what I'd like to add is probably we may need to think about a different approach and a different strategy by a different phase. And as I mentioned earlier a little bit, when we focus on the secondary education, especially the low-income secondary schools, I think the engagement of enterprise may be too early for them. And we may need to more focus on the helping the students to understand the world of work, and I mean, to ensure that they have a broader and wider understanding of the world of work. And as also mentioned by Pedro, UNESCO direct to ensure the lifelong learning perspectives. And I think that we have been working a lot by focusing on the first 20, 30 years of one's life. But I think we also have to pay attention to the last 20, 30 years of our life. And as you know, many countries are becoming the aging society, including my own country, Japan. And the pension system is not functioning well in some contexts, and the social protection may not be enough. So you may need to work even after your retirement age. And what kind of career guidance will need to be provided for those senior citizens and elderly workers? I think this UNESCO has not been doing a lot in these areas, but this is something we have to think about in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Bobby, please.
Thank you. Just two quick bullet points. I'm aware that we're running out of time. I just want to reinforce the point that we've got to understand career pathways across the lifetime as flexible. There's still sometimes a perception that one chooses a career and you then stay in that career path. It's not the reality. Most people, even on this call, have started in different careers. But there are various things that shape how flexibility works. And Pedro's raised important points on the demand side about how HR works, criteria for employment, etc. There are some occupations which draw on certificates and restrict applications for those qualifications, sometimes when it's not absolutely necessary. So one's got to look at the demand side. The other issue, the last point I want to make, is that a career pathway is often shaped by your choice of career, of occupation, but it's also shaped by the fundamental and portable skills that you have, including lifelong learning. So for example, if you're a data science person, there are a number of areas in which you can practice those skills. And I'm not talking of advanced data science, I'm talking of quite entry-level things. So it's important that flexibility of career pathways across the life cycle is also accounted for in the way the demand side operate and in the way advice is given to the supply side. Over.
Thank you very much, Bobby. Please, Ronald, do I see your hand? Or
yes, please.
You want to add
yes.
something? Please,
Yes,
please.
yes, in response to your question about the different frameworks and how we're going to manage all this complexity and diversity, I've been fortunate in having had to carry out quite a lot of analysis of different frameworks, American, Canadian, Australian. We've helped develop the one in Scotland. Ultimately, if you actually had to kind of condense and squeeze them and try to come up with what is essential to all of them, actually, we're still working with the DOTS model. The DOTS model, which was developed by Bill Law and Tony Watts, which involves decision-making, opportunity awareness, transition skills, and self-knowledge. So while there is a lot of variety, and it could be also that different organizations are trying to place their mark in this particular field, actually, if we had to keep it somewhat simple, these are the four main pillars that one finds in most curricula. But point two is we're using the term career management skills often with the formal labor market in view. We have to remember that ILO told us recently that over 60% of the world population that works in the informal labor market. This is huge. That is, very often these people, it's not true, they're not running after jobs, it's jobs running after them. It's not choosing jobs, it's the jobs that choose them. It's just because that's the only opportunities that they have available. So we need to, if we're going to be relevant, we need to make sure that we do not develop frameworks that are applicable to industrialized countries and basically not very significant for countries that have a very strong informal labor market. And the final point is, even though I've written a lot about career management skills, it worries me. I much prefer career education. That's what we should be about. It's not just teaching skills that we perform, but having the knowledge, the savoir-faire, and the savoir-être, the attitudes, the values in relation to the world of work, which increasingly is something that we should engage with critically because of the insecurity that most people now have to face, lack of stable contracts, the gig economy. So I'm talking about the importance of looking at career education in its broader sense, perhaps with the main distinction being learning for work and learning about work. And I'm much more in favor of learning about work.
Thank you very much, Ronald, for this contribution. Sorry for the noise in between. Raimo, I hand over to you for the last question.
Thank you. And I think what you all pointed out, that the importance of the sort of joint knowledge formation, that understanding the issue, that we are talking about the same language, and then we come to the cooperation of different sectors. So one of the added value of the cooperation is to overlap, to avoid fragmentation and overlapping efforts in this matter. And within the workshop, there was a notion that there is already examples of cooperation on national level, but we have also heard on the interagency group between these internal organizations which are participating in this conference, but there's still room for further development, not only within the government sectors, but also there's a reference that we need public and private partnerships and cooperation. So my question to you panelists, all the panelists, is that how do you see what would be the first steps, how to promote cooperation either through international organizations or support, or through mutual peer learning? And I hand over to Hiromichi first.
Okay, thank you, Raimo. Yes, as I mentioned, the UNESCO has been coordinating the interagency working group, and under the leadership of CEDEFOP, we are now completing the analytical report of the joint survey on career guidance under the COVID crisis. And I think this is the good achievement, and we would like to promote this collaborative environment with other organizations from now on. So this is the first point. And yes, I think I attended the breakout session on career, cooperation and coordination, and some of the participants shared the example of the development of memorandum of understanding across different ministries, and also I think the Ukraine expert mentioned the difficulty challenge of engaging the secondary education, especially the Ministry of Education. So as I mentioned a few times, I think they may have a different approach where we need it depending on the phase. And if it is the secondary education levels, I think we should more focus on the understanding of the world of work. And I think more focused career guidance will be needed at the post-secondary education, upper secondary and post-secondary levels. So I think we may need to coordinate, and we may need to discuss a kind of division of labor between the different ministries and different entities. So I will stop here. Thank you.
What about other panelists? Do you want to comment on this topic?
Well, I can comment a bit. I mean, the ILO already is developing cooperative work with both UNESCO and with UNICEF. I think that there are memorandum of understanding, and there is a work which progressively is expanding from very focal areas into wider areas. The digital learning is an example. The exchanges on the core skills frameworks is another example. But I think what is important is that in each organization, the general area of career development is acknowledged as an important area of work, which is somehow transversal to several policy areas or areas of interest in the organization. And this, for example, in the ILO at the moment is seen from the perspective of both skills development and lifelong learning, employment services, activation services, but also social protection services. And you can see already you have three quite different areas which are normally managed by different ministries. And the fact that you have one organization that already starts to put these things together and to see how career development links the three areas is already a silo busting activity. I think that this sort of DNA needs to then enter a bit more into the existing activities of cooperation across these organizations, and the interagency group is a clear example of this. I agree with Hiromichi. I think that it's a very important foundational work, this one on the survey, on the global survey, because it reinforces a shared narrative across organizations, and I think consolidates a number of perspectives about what is the role that guidance can assume in the future. And more than that, it also integrates career learning for adults, career education perspectives in basic and secondary education. So I think there's already something very important happening. And I think that essentially is that we need to first acknowledge the area, second, get articulate the discourse in all the critical areas of intervention. So I'll leave it at this.
Thank you. Bobby or Ronald, do you want to add? Ronald, no. Bobby? Please open the microphone. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. No, I think Hiromichi and Pedro have covered what I would have said from UNICEF's perspective. So nothing from me now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And I was following up the chat, and there was the some way emphasizing the role of career education. And like Ronald and Peter said, there are a number of countries which have integrated career guidance or career education to the different levels of education. So that seems to be a trend. And one of the issues what I would highlight that, as mentioned, there are examples of cooperation in many countries and different representative structures, but one of the issues which we have been facing is then that we can agree, or the government sectors can agree on certain principles or strategies, but then there are a number of countries which have also established entities which have a mandate to implement and sort of apply some of these joint decisions. So that's one issue that needs to be taken into account. I'm thanking all the panelists at this point, and all the evidence on the report and the latest 20 years have been indicating that there's a lot of cooperation around this issue. We are sharing similar challenges, but we are not alone. So this is a seminar, and the publication is an example of the efforts that we can share each other. And when countries are in different level of development, there's a lot to learn from all of us. And so I thank the opportunity, and I hand over to Florian, who is having the sort of wrapping this up and sort of giving advice for the future steps. Thank you.
Thank you very much also from my side to all of the panelists and to all participants. I will ask you, aware of the time, for a last Mentimeter participation, please, just to look at the takeaways from your point of view. If we can start the Mentimeter, please, Gökhan. Think about what were the key messages for you today from that event, and what are the main points that you would take away? Which are the things that you would integrate in your daily work? Which are the aspects that you would need to either work more on yourself or need to reflect on more by yourself? While you are filling in that short survey, we put together the key messages from the breakout groups, and we will publish a Jamboard with all these kind of information on the ETF open space for you later to take a look. So yeah, please just show the results and we can watch while people are responding. So key takeaways, parent involvement, interesting, insofar as the amount of people that wanted to join that breakout groups was the one with the least amount of people. So that's interesting. So there is some awareness there. Innovation, insofar as we've seen in the beginning, there is a willingness and readiness to uptake innovation. So that's great. Some more aspects are coming. Lifelong development, similar experiences. Yeah, we've seen that when we wrote the report that many countries experience similar challenges and try to use similar solutions, like the use of ICT, the cooperation and coordination among stakeholders. Okay, so you can see in terms of size, it's not one particular aspect that is more important. Since people continue writing, we see more and more that there are many different aspects that are takeaways, but cooperation seems to be now the most important one. Okay, thank you very much for participating in that. I want to thank again Raimo for chairing that meeting. Also, from my point of view, please participate in the feedback questionnaire that my colleagues will share now in the chat. But most importantly, as I said in the beginning, we wanted to start an exchange on career guidance, system development. We want to start reflection on it. It's a kicking off with that report of sharing experience, reflecting together, and I kindly invite you to continue cooperating with us as ETF, with the many people that are in that online room, and I'm looking forward to that cooperation on open space. The link is in the chat. You will find the recording of the webinar. You will find the presentations, and we continue there and in other platforms with the cooperation. My last word is to Helmut. because I haven't said anything about it yet. I personally want to thank him as a person for being who he was, and also thank him as a professional. I could learn a lot from him, and I'm just very sad not having him here, but I'm happy that he was here and he was the driving force behind this publication and behind ETF's work on career guidance. So thank you, Helmut. And thanks to all of you, and I look forward to working with you in the future. All the best. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you for everything.
Thank you, Florian.
Happy,
Thanks.
keep healthy. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Great,
Bye-bye.
great discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.